It's time for another double review. This time, two different games about saving the planet. One done very peacefully and one not so much. Without further ado, let's take a look at Terra Nil and The Last Spell. Terra Nil has been a very long time coming, since the original itch.io demo. It has been picked up by Devolver. It has gotten a major fresh coat of paint with a new art style and aesthetic. But the same basic elements remain. It is our job to revitalize the world after pollution and environmental hazards have left it pretty much uninhabitable. And to do that, we are going to explore 4 different biomes. Each biome is kind of like its own unique take. When you go into the game, the levels are procedurally generated, but your general process remains the same. In each biome, the first thing you're going to do is reclaim the ground and make it habitable again by using various devices to bring back the green. Once you've done that, your next job is to use further machinery to create the necessary kind of regions, or within each area, their own respective biomes. After that, you'll need to set things up for wildlife to come back and recycle all the equipment that you've set down on the map prior. Once all 3 have been taken care of, you have officially cleared the map and you can move on to the next. Each area also has kind of like an alternate version that changes the rules even more. Now, this is pretty much par and parcel for the original release, or I should say the original itch.io demo. What has changed has been trying to, I think, smooth out some of the rougher edges or some of the difficulty spikes in that demo. From what I remember, in the demo, it was very easy to run out of your resource. If you weren't kind of thinking 2 to 3 steps ahead, it could very well lead to failure. The game has definitely been made far easier in that respect. A new feature is with the use of kind of zone-related objectives that represent changing the temperature and the humidity. When it hits certain thresholds, you will unlock different bonuses and even get a resource bonus or resource addition for it. And these things will also do a really nice job of adding more aesthetic flourishes to the land, more natural animals, fishes, and all kinds of other things to ooh and ah over. And you will certainly have a chance to ooh and ah once you have finished the map. So, Terra Nil, I really enjoy this one. This is by no means a hard game to play, at least in the version that we played. I don't know they're going to be adding more to it now that the game is out. But this is a really great kind of zen or chill, I guess, kind of puzzle resource management game. If I had any real complaints about it, is that there isn't as much, again, depth to these mechanics. So they're, I think, trying to have where it was kind of showing in the demo. Even though each biome has its own unique rules and machinery that you're going to use, what you're going to do within each biome from stage to stage is not changing. And I do wonder if they'll implement any kind of like random variants or variables that can show up. But even with that said, this is a amazingly pleasant game to play. If you're looking for something that has a really great message, really great theming, and it's not going to tax you too much in terms of challenge, highly recommend Terra Nil. But with that said, if you are looking for something with some challenge, then stick around for our next game. And we're going to talk about that after this quick break. If you're interested in my thoughts on design, then check out my game design books. For entry-level students, we have 20 Essential Games to Study, and then the Game Design Deep Dive series that takes an extensive look at different genres, with more coming soon. We now turn to The Last Spell, another game that has been a very long time coming. It was released earlier in 2023 after being on early access. And what this game is essentially take the survive against the undead style of They Are Billions, but turn it into a tactical RPG. Our story is that in an attempt to end all war, a wizard made the magic nuke ball of death spell, which after unleashing it, everyone started copying, leading to Armageddon. And now our only way to save the planet is to remove all magic using, as the title suggests, the last spell. Unfortunately, every night, hordes and hordes of undead in various shapes, sizes, and annoyances are coming to get you. The game itself is split between day and night. During the nighttime, you will control your various heroes to go out and try and fight off against the invading horde. You must keep them away from the center of your city, which is the person who's casting the spell. If they die, it is game over. During the daytime, you'll use resources that are either gathered from your various citizens or gained from the various enemies to upgrade various defenses and structures, equip new gear, level up, that sort of good stuff. Now, the game features a very extensive progression model. As you play through, you'll unlock kind of Tainted Essence, which is your premium or your persistent currency. This can be used to unlock anything and everything from new structures to permanent upgrades for all heroes. There's also kind of titles or milestones that will unlock additional features, services, and gear from another mysterious character. Now, the thing that kind of sets the last spell apart from a tactical standpoint is how, fluid combat is and the abilities of your characters. Every character is procedurally generated in terms of starting traits, as well as what possible perks they will be able to gain at level up. The gear that you equip to characters defines their build. So if you give someone a bow and arrow, they will have a very functionally different style of attacking enemies compared to using a sword or a hammer, and so on. And the game definitely is designed around maximizing what each character can do. You will always be outnumbered in this game. So you really do want to give each character both a melee, range, or magic combination, somewhere of those three. Because enemies will have different resistances, different rules for what damage they'll take. And you do not want anyone to have kind of like a, no pun intended, dead turn. And as you go through the game, you'll unlock harder modifiers called the Apocalypse modifiers, levels and campaigns will get longer, and so on and so forth. And this is a very meaty game to play. I have a few issues with it. The game is entirely built on the persistent elements, and I think to the point of it being a little bit of a detriment. This is one of those titles that will walk very essential features and things that will just completely change your way of playing the game behind the upgrades. For one thing, you start with no static defense emplacements. And once you get that first tier unlock, a lot of the early game challenge will melt away. And then there are essential buildings and features, such as being able to push back the fog, so you have more breathing room when enemies come each night. And it does feel like one of those games where you're kind of set up to fail right from the moment you start playing, and you have to kind of work your way up to the point to have a functional strategy and build going. And I'm sure there are people who have already mastered the game and beat it all on their very first run. But for the rest of us mere mortals, it can be a little frustrating to play. Each campaign has kind of a quote-unquote boss wave at the very end that changes the rules in some way that, if you're not set up for it, will end in failure and you'll have to repeat the entire campaign over again. A big strategy is learning to cultivate your daily resource accumulation early. Because each day and night you can only get a fixed number of resources and a fixed number of citizens who can work things, the quicker and faster you're able to get those resources coming in, the easier it's going to be to set up defenses, get the gear and spells you need. And if you don't do that, it's very easy to start to feel overwhelmed. This is very much one of those games where you'll start winning until you don't, and once you start that downward spiral, it can be very hard to pull out of it. This is definitely not a game for people looking for an easy time. But if you enjoy really planning out each one of your turns and the challenges that go with managing ever escalating stages of failure and death coming your way, then the last spell is definitely one to check out. But with that said, we're going to wrap up this double review here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do the liking, YouTubing stuff people tell you to do. Check out our Discord and Patreon link down below. Let me tell your game for a future video and stream. Please reach out and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games.